the person who's holding the trust or who's paying the taxes on it, it's called the what?
The person who's paying the taxes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's just going to be the trust owner, right?
The trust owner.
Right.
Okay.
So
So
when we talk about control, like what happens when someone dies, we don't know anything by the word grant or trust. That doesn't give me any information. If
mhm.
you say it's a revocable living trust and somebody dies, okay,
Okay, it's a revocable living trust because it's a grantor trust because they're alive, right?
right,
When they pass, it becomes irrevocable because they're gone. And then there's a whole different classification, a whole different set of
right.
circumstances that happen at
So
that point.
yeah, this is an important point. So let's say Tim and Mary are married. Tim passes, and let's say they both own a joint revocable trust while they're alive, right? They come in, they see me, they get a trust, they put their so they get a revocable living trust. That means that they're the settlor, they created the trust, they're the trustee, the person who manages the trust, and the beneficiary, the person who benefits from the assets in the trust.
Okay.
So I'll set this trust up. If they have multiple properties or life insurance, whatever, I'll transfer those into the trust, the title, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and it's still as if they own it outright. They can always revoke it, that trust, get rid of the trust. But like you said, like we've been talking about, it's a grantor trust. Even though their house now says Tim and Mary as trustees of the Tim and Mary Revocable Living Trust on the deed in at the county house, that's still treated as if they own it outright. Um, and you can even put that home in an LLC and then put the LLC in the trust to keep your name off of the deed for public purposes. That's a whole nother story. So let's say Tim dies, Mary's alive. Tim's portion, his half, let's say you're in Texas,
A
his
community
half,
property state.
yeah. And so this
Uh-huh.
is where family law and estate law come together. Because when you're married, you in a community property state, you concurrently own one half of the community property or marital property. So his half becomes irrevocable in the joint living trust. Her half is still able to be revoked or amended. And
Because
so
she's still alive.
because she's still alive.
Uh-huh.
And so she will then become usually the sole trustee. You can change it, but she'll become the sole trustee of that trust, and she'll have to follow the trust terms according to what Tim wanted, right? So
Mm-hmm.
whatever he wanted, whether it's to create another trust for his
Mm-hmm.
kids, or
Mm-hmm.
give his share to a charity, or give it to
Mm-hmm. She
his,
has to honor that.
he has to honor that. But
Even if it's to sell the house that she's in right now.
well, she would theoretically still own half of it. So it depends on when they bought the home. If they bought it before they got married, it's Tim's sole and separate property, right? If
If
she,
if if they bought it before, if she bought it before she was married.
yeah, let's say Tim bought the home before Tim married Mary,
Okay.
then that's Tim's complete separate property. So Mary doesn't own it at all. Now he could give it away, right? Because she doesn't have any interest in it. Let's say she
So
didn't.
even though she's living in it, because he bought it before they were married, and he put in the trust that he wanted to give the house to one of his kids, she has to get out of the house.
So not necessarily. So what I was going to finish saying is that
Okay.
you do have homestead rights. Let's say they've lived there for 2 or 3 years. You can't just kick somebody out. So she would likely get a life estate in the property. So now it's real estate law coming in. So now we got
Uh,
real estate law, family law, and estate law.
uh,
So uh, and you can't just kick somebody out of their house just because you inherited it. She would probably likely get a life estate, and Tim would probably give her what's called the right of occupancy in the house too, right? So that she could stay in there, but their children
sorry.
would inherit.
What's a life estate?
A life estate means okay, so there in property law, there's this thing called the bundle of rights. So you have the right to occupy, you can lease, you can own the land, not the buildings above. You have the right to control, right to waste the property. These are all different types of rights in the bundle. You can separate every right in the bundle. And so one of the rights is a life estate. It's just a way to own an interest in property that's not a complete fee simple.
So does he have to explicitly state this life estate thing, or does that just come into play once he dies?
He should explicitly state it. If the kids want her out, they're going to go to court. Her strongest argument would be,
Oh, a life
I
estate.
have homestead rights, and
Homestead.
yeah,
In Texas.